Hi, this is Justin from Whiting Services Heating and Air Conditioning. Today we are doing a 4-inch trunk duct reducer wedge. If you want to go from 24-inch duct down to 20-inch wide duct, you can use a 4-inch reducing wedge. You can buy these in the supply house, but you can also make them on the job site. So if you put some on an order, they didn't give them to you, and supply house is far away, it's actually faster to just make it yourself. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm here in our temporary office during the COVID virus. You can see our desks. I got the floor covered with some ram board just to protect it. Got the turtles over here. Got 3 of them. But figured I'd get something out to you guys during the quarantine. We're still up and running, but not as much. Obviously business has slowed a lot because of the pandemic. But figured I'd try to get something out to you guys today. So let's get started. What we're going to do first is draw a square, and you can use a true carpenter square to make sure you get your angles right. But I found, you can pretty much use anything that's laying around. I got a piece of wood here. It'll pretty much get me straight line. So what we're gonna do is, because we have 10-inch wide trunk duct, we're gonna make 10-inch wide wedge, or duct reducer wedge. So we're going to start by just giving a quick mark here and mark there, and that's 10 inches. Now we'll draw a line across that 10 inches. Okay. Now we want to get our correct right angle, so I'll just line it up kind of like that and just do a quick little guy like this. I'll do a similar thing here just to get my straight 90-degree turn. And then we're gonna make another line, and that line is gonna be 6.5, so that's right here. Now we're making a 4-inch wedge reducer, and when we do that, we're gonna want 6.5 this way, so 6.5, and that's basically from this line to this line down here. Just gonna check one more time. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, now I want to make sure that we're square at the bottom too, so I'm just gonna line it up just like that, right there. And do the same thing over here. Okay. Looks close, but just a little bit off. That's all right. I think we'll be okay. So think it might actually be better without the light. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might actually be better. I'll set it over to the side. Okay. Now, we got 6.5 this way. 6.5 is going to be for 4-inch wedge. So if you're trying to drop 4 inches, which in this case, if we put a 4-inch wedge on this 20-inch duct, we're going to be able to get on the 24-inch duct. So 4-inch wedge is 6.5. 6-inch wedge is 7.5, and a 2-inch wedge 5.5. That's just what it is. I don't know why, but that's the measurement. Oh man, looks like I marked up my metal just a little bit. Okay. Now this is going to be 10. Okay. Now what we're going to do is take your piece of S-cleat, line it up right on the line. Do that. And then over here, same thing. This side. There we go. And what that's doing is that's giving us our bottom piece. This is where the S-cleat is going to go into the trunk, and then this piece will get folded so that it has the little drive guy. We're going to take our S-cleat and we're going to cut 2 pieces. And you can use drive also for this part if you want. The drive cleat's a little cheaper, so we're kind of making a sacrificial piece here. We're not really going to use when the reducer wedge is done. But essentially what we're going to need is 2 pieces. One's going to be 4. And one's going to be 5. We're going to cut these with our bullnose snips. And what we do with this is take our 4-inch piece, put it right there. Take our 5-inch piece, put it right there. Now at this little corner here, that's where you want it. And then this one here at that little corner. And then you just turn them until they touch together. And you want them to be pretty exact where they go. So that's pretty much dead on. You can see the corner here is touching. This corner here is touching. And now what we do is we trace that out. So I'm going to trace this one first. Okay. Now this one. Okay. Now that's going to give you your proper angle that we're going to make our cut, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing. Let's see, this guy here, this guy here. And when you get it, it should kind of look like a right angle right here. You know, that's how you know you're kind of lined up the way you should be. Okay. 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 Now it kind of should look symmetrical, and it looks pretty good from here. Now this piece here is going to be 4 inches, and this one is going to be whatever size reducer wedge that you're trying to make. If it's a 4-inch, this piece here is going to be 4. If it's a 6-inch, this will be 6. If it's a 2-inch, this will be 2. So that's 4 inches, and then this one here is going to be 5 inches, and that's the same for all of them. It doesn't matter what you're doing, that piece there is going to be 5 inches. So that's our measurements. So now we are ready to cut it out. I do not enjoy cutting with the hand shears. I try to use my auto shears connected to my gun as much as possible. But sometimes you just have to use them. And this is one of them. I mean, one like this, I probably wouldn't want to go all the way, you know, with my auto shears with this. So no big deal. Cut it with the hand shears. Okay. All right, so that's what we got. Now, time to fold it up. So to do that, can't really use the handbrakes too well to get in there and fold this, right? So what I do is I'll use like something like this, block of wood. Also works well is if you have a brake on your truck, you can take the iron piece that sits in the brake and you can put that down here. Basically we're just going to line it right up to that tip right there, because that's going to be our line under there. Now, the trick is getting your hand under there as far as you can and just give it a little bit, little kick, just on a 45-degree. Start that little crease and then reach your hand all the way under there as far as it'll go. Give a push. Alright, pretty good. Not too shabby, right on the line. And we're going to go to the other side. Line it up. Get under there as much as you can. can. Give it a little bit. Now it's starting to look like something. Now, for the next part, what we got to do is we got to bend this piece here, because the wedge is going to sit like this on that trunk. So this ear right here needs to be folded downwards. So just gonna grab my handbrakes, line it up just like that. Just cock it at a 45, not all the way, just a little bit, and then slide on down the road. Do it again. Hold it out. Now you can see I went a little too far, so I'm going to bend it back. It's almost up and down right there. Boom. Perfect. Just like that is what we want. Now we're going to cut a piece of S-cleat. Okay, there we have it. So that's getting there. So we got our piece of S-cleat. Now what we need to do is we gotta fold a drive on here so we can slip a drive on. Show you where this is going to go. Just like that is what you're looking at. All right, that's basically how this thing's going to get installed. We're going to cut this piece out. A lot of guys like to skip that step. You know, but if you got air going this way, which you almost always do, you're always going from larger to smaller duct. So if you don't cut this piece out, you can already see what's going to happen. This air is going to come down and it's going to get in here and cause a lot of turbulence and restriction. You're not going to get smooth air. You got to cut that panel out, so we're going to be doing that. But for now, let's go ahead and put our drive crease, our little drive fold in this. Because once we cut this piece out, this is gone, and the next piece of duct has to connect onto here. So the way we do that, now a lot of guys will use your folding bar, which I don't have right now. I tend to lose them, man, to be honest, so I don't even use them that much. I use my handbrakes for everything mostly, but of course, if you can hold on to it, it definitely comes in handy, especially times like now when you got to do this, because it has the spot in it. You can fold this very easily. Because I don't have one, I'm going to do it this way. So I'm using my handbrakes. I basically put the metal to the second notch, give it a little bend, slide on down the road, do it again. Just like that. you can see we're almost there. You just kind of finish it off. Finish it off by squeezing her down a little. Doing it this way takes a little more practice than using your folding bar, but as you can see, it does work. I'm going to bend the whole thing just a little bit, like that. There we go. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because when it's sitting on here like that and the other one gets lined up, the drive has to go in. If this is cocked out in this direction, the drive won't go on as easily, so it's good to bend it in like I did so it's up and down. So that's your reducer wedge right there. That's a 4-inch wedge. Now we're going to install it on this piece of trunk duct. Now the ones that you buy, because you buy these from the supply house, but if you don't have one and you're on the job site, you can actually make this most times faster than going to the supply house and getting it, especially if it's a sheet metal supply house. So they're slow, but you can make this pretty quick. I mean, it usually takes me about 20 minutes or so to make one. So, slow you up a little bit, but it's typically faster than going and buying one. So if you're stuck and you need one, you can make it. The ones you buy in the store, this edge right here has a fold in it, a Pittsburgh seam, maybe they call it. It's got the fold and the fold back. So basically there's a crease there, so that once you cut this off, it'll push in and then you can screw it down. But it doesn't matter. I'm putting this on anyway like this. I can screw it down anyway. Anytime I put one of these on, after I get it on, I always put a piece of metal tape across all the seams just to get it airtight, because oftentimes there's always going to be leakage. So you could use mastic if you wanted, or silicone sealant, but I find it's best and easiest just to use a piece of tape, tape it off. So now that we have our duct reducer wedge for 10-inch trunk duct, 4-inch reduction, now we're going to install it on this piece of trunk duct. So let's see what we're going to do. We start off by lining up the wedge. And the trick to that, I have found, is to set it up where this line across the top is level. So you want this top to be level, and you want these two drives to kind of be in the same place. And if you do that, when you go to stick it on your next piece of duct, it's going to go on okay. So I line it up so it's pretty level, and then I make a mark right here. I got my mark right there. Alright, come over my other side, and I do the same thing. Don't focus on anything else too much, just that top line, because that's really all that's going to matter when you're trying to fit this thing in. You're trying to fit this to another piece of trunk duct. Okay, so I got my line here. I got my line here. I'm just going to extend it a little bit. Make sure that this guy is about halfway up this guy. It's like that, about halfway. It's perfect. This thing's sliding a little bit. You got a big piece of trunk, set it on the ground. It doesn't usually slide too much. This is a cut piece. I just grabbed out the truck. So, alright. Now, I got my piece Got my mark there, I got my mark there. Now what I'll do is, you can use any straight edge. I usually just grab the wedge and I'll put it up right there from mark to mark. And I'll make a line just like that. Alright. Looks like it might be a little bit off, but you get the idea. Okay, now we need to cut this piece out. Okay, this is going to get cut out. So this side where it's just a regular corner, it's going to be easy, piece of cake. Just stick your shears in there and then grab it with your hand and kind of bend it down as you go. Make it easier for you. Easier to cut usually. Use my rights. Make it in there. I typically use my straights, and it's not super easy, but you can usually get it. There we go. Now, this side, you can see we got this little seam, and we want to try to stay away from that. Don't worry about trying to cut through it or anything like that. I usually just cut it right off from this side because there's plenty of meat here to screw this on. We got plenty of meat right here, so we'll be able to screw it on there, no problem. Just cut the whole thing off. You can see why I got the ram board down in the office. Okay, so that's what we got so far, and you can see it's not pretty. Not pretty at all. Okay, just like that. Okay. Now, what we got to do is take our bullnose snips and cut through this seam right here from this line. Once we get to about there, we can switch over to our other snips, but to get through this thick stuff, definitely need the old bullnose. Put that down a little. Alright, let's see if we can get these guys in here. Okay. So that's what we got so far. So now we got to straighten her on out. See over here, we got some sharp teeth. That's for sure. And you know, if you want to, you can go back and trim that if you want. There you go. All right. Now, take our wedge and we're going to slide this S-cleat into here. Sometimes you got to open this up with your screwdriver or your duck knife, which I actually left in the truck, so let's see if I can get it. There we go. Okay. Now, because this duct is drifting, you know, I'm going to put a screw right there just to hold it while we do what we got to do. Go. Now you can see this piece went on the inside. You want to get that on the outside, so bend that back a little. There we go. Now if you see, it's kind of sticking up a little higher here than there. It's no good. We got to get it down lower in that situation, because when you put the S-cleat across here, you know, it'll sit womped. There we go. Pretty much straight across at this point. I like it. So what we'll do, put a screw in. Pretty good. Bring it back a little bit. That's better. All right. Come around to the other side. And we'll do the same thing. Now if you see here, this line that I made is about 1/8 of an inch lower than the wedge. So what I'd normally do is take my screwdriver and stick it in that S-cleat, widen it up, and then smack it a few more times, get it down lower, get this as low to that point as possible, because it's going to want to stick up higher up here if this isn't down on that line. I don't have my screwdriver with me. I left it out in the truck, so let me see if I can just stick this card in there and give it a little bit more. Probably not. I'm not really gonna go. So in this situation, not the end of the world. It's not much. It's off by just a little bit. So what I'll do is put a screw in it. Now, in the real world, what I would do normally is I would just trim this back a little bit here, just a little bit. You know, in this situation, get that line a little bit closer to this one. That way, when you put the piece of trunk duct up, it's going to go a lot easier. So, it's basically in there. You know, typically what I do is throw a few more screws in it. So we're going to do that, I guess. Typically I would put, you know, 3 screws, top, middle, and bottom. Alright, so now at this point is where I would take my metal tape and basically just put it right here, across the bottom, and then one more over here. And then I take my squeegee, if I got a squeegee, and squeegee that tape, get it nice and flat. A piece of S-cleat across here. If it's on the duct already, take it off. Put the S-cleat on this piece. Don't try to take this piece and stick it into duct that has S-cleat on it already. It's harder. You want the S-cleat on here already, and then open it up real good. Then you can go and try to stab it right onto the piece of duct. And that's basically it. That's our 4-inch reducing wedge. So this will go right onto a piece of trunk just like that. And that'll take you from 24-inch trunk down to 20-inch.